I'm gonna take this off for the reading portion. I'm also gonna turn off the snow for the reading portion. And I just want to say again to Sunset Gaia, thank you so much for that raid. That is amazing. It is so lovely to meet you. I can't wait to check out your stuff. Thank you so much. And yeah, of course, feel free to raid and fade whenever you need to. Make sure you're taking care of yourself after your own stream. Yeah. Thank you. I've had many leather-bound books, and your apartment smells of rich mahogany. Banana. Alright. That sounds amazing. Okay. Alright. Hello again, YouTube. We are also live over on Twitch, of course. But we are now on YouTube for the reading portion. Hello. Hi Hecate. Good to see you again. Hello. Yes, we are reading from The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood. Hold on a second. Okay, quick sound check, because I'm going to be speaking a little louder, but I don't want to. We are coming out of, ASMR triggers. Okay, volume, you guys? Yeah, Merry Adventures of Robin Hood by Howard Pyle. There is a comment pinned in chat. Let me pin it in YouTube. There we go. In both Twitch and YouTube. With a link to this book on Project Gutenberg, which is an amazing resource. Like all the public domain books, for free. You can download them in a wide range of formats, including for Kindles, but also PDF, and also you can just open it as a tab in your browser. If you want to read along with me, but don't want to download it, yeah. You're the first to click like over on YouTube. Well, Artax, I appreciate it. You made it back for reading time. Heck yeah. That's awesome. It's so good to see you again. Okay. First time viewer? Well, hello, Buddha. I've never seen this Buddha before in my life. So we are about halfway through this collection. The chapters are more like self-contained stories, or sometimes the story arc goes across like 2, maybe 3 chapters, but a lot of them kind of stand alone as individually packaged adventures as well. Hi Ozzy, good to see you. And so if you are following along, the one we are starting with, they're not numbered, the chapters. You'll have to look down the table of contents, but it's about halfway down. It's called Robin Hood and Allan a Dale. Wait, is that the guy who just joined them? The Tanner? Or was the Tanner someone else? The last story that we read, was so chaotic. Robin just kept getting his ass kicked. And then every time someone kicked his ass, he would like burst into laughter and be like, wow, you're a good fighter. You should come live in the woods with me. Wasn't he in Neighbors? I don't know. I haven't seen that. But he keeps recruiting people, basically. Like, if someone kicks his ass, he's like, you're awesome. Come be my merry man. So in the last story, he recruited 3 new people, including his nephew, Will Scarlet. At this point, he has become a definite nuisance to the sheriff. But actually, they bully the sheriff so badly that we found ourselves actually feeling kind of bad for the sheriff, which was unexpected. And I don't know, he's probably got about 140, 150 men living in the woods with him. It is kind of old-fashioned language, but I try to put as much, emotion and emphasis into it, and I do, as I said, I'll like pause along the way and kind of recap things. So Will Scarlet pulled a whole tree out with his hands. That was some Hans the Strong action. Yeah. Okay. Robin Hood and Allan a Dale. It has just been told how 3 unlucky adventures fell upon Robin Hood and Little John, all in one day, bringing them sore ribs and aching bones. So, next, we will tell how they made up for those ill happenings by a good action that came about not without some small pain to Robin. 2 days had passed by, and somewhat of the soreness had passed away from Robin Hood's joints. Yet still, when he moved of a sudden and without thinking, pain here and there would, as it were, jog him, crying, "Thou hast had a drubbing, good fellow." And the day was bright and jocund, and the morning dew still lay upon the grass. Under the greenwood tree sat Robin Hood. On one side was Will Scarlet, lying at full length upon his back, gazing up into the clear sky with hands clasped behind his head. Upon the other side sat Little John, fashioning a cudgel out of a stout crab-tree limb. Elsewhere upon the grass sat or lay many others of the band. "By the faith of my heart," quoth merry Robin, "I do bethink me that we have had no one to dine with us for this long time. Our money groweth low in the purse, for no one hath come to pay a reckoning for many a day. Now, busk thee, good Stutely, and choose thee 6 men, and get thee gone to Fossey Way or thereabouts, and see that thou bringest someone to eat with us this evening. Meantime, we will prepare a great feast to do whosoever may come the greater honour. And stay, good Stutely, I would have thee take Will Scarlet with thee, for it is meet that he should become acquaint with the ways of the forest." "Now I thank thee, good master," quoth Stutely, springing to his feet, "that thou hast chosen me for this adventure. Truly my limbs do grow slack through abiding idly here. As for 2 of my 6, I will choose Midge the Miller and Arthur a Bland, for as well as thou knowest, good master, they are stout fists at the quarterstaff. Is it not so, Little John?" At this all laughed, but Little John and Robin, who twisted up his face. "I can speak for Midge," said he, "and likewise for my cousin Scarlet. This very blessed morn I looked at my ribs and found them as many colours as a beggar's cloak." So, having chosen 4 more stout fellows, Will Stutely and his band set forth to Fossey Way, to find whether they might not come across some rich guest to feast that day in Sherwood with Robin and his band. Hi, Ivan. Oh, Goddess Touch, thank you. Basically, when he says find us a dinner guest, he means find us someone that we can rob. They will give him a dinner. They will give him a whole feast, but also they will steal his purse. So, like, for all the livelong day they abided near this highway. Each man had brought with him a good store of cold meat and a bottle of stout March beer to stay his stomach till the homecoming. So, when high noontide had come, they sat them down upon the soft grass, beneath a green and wide spreading hawthorn bush, and held a hearty and jovial feast. After this, one kept watch while the others napped, for it was a still and sultry day. Thus they passed the time pleasantly enow, but no guest such as they desired showed his face in all the time that they lay hidden there. Many passed along the dusty road in the glare of the sun. Now it was a bevy of chattering damsels merrily tripping along. Now it was a plodding tinker, now a merry shepherd lad, now a sturdy farmer, all gazing ahead along the road, unconscious of the 7 stout fellows that lay hidden so near them. Such were the travellers along the way, but Fat Abbot rich esquire or money-laden usurer, came there none. At last, the sun began to sink low in the heavens. The light grew red, and the shadows long. The air grew full of silence. The birds twittered sleepily, and from afar came, faint and clear, the musical song of the milkmaid, calling the kine home to the milking. Then Stutely arose from where he was lying. "A plague of such ill luck," quoth he. "Here have we abided all day, and no bird worth the shooting, so to speak, hath come within reach of our bolt. Had I gone forth on an innocent errand, I had met a dozen stout priests, or a score of pursy money-lenders. But it is ever thus. The dun deer are never so scarce as when one has a grey goose feather nipped betwixt the fingers. Come, lads, let us pack up and home again, say I." Accordingly, the others arose, and coming forth from out the thicket, they all turned their toes back again to Sherwood. After they had gone some distance, Will Stutely, who headed the party, suddenly stopped. "Whist," quoth he, for his ears were as sharp as those of a 5-year-old fox. It's so specific. What? That's so specific. Do 5-year-old foxes hear better than foxes of other ages? Oh my god, I need to cut my bangs. They're very, very annoying. I've never heard that before. Okay. Was the fox stout? It was stout and lusty. You can bet on it. Okay. Hark, lads, methinks I hear a sound. At this, all stopped and listened with bated breath, albeit for a time they could hear nothing, their ears being duller than Stutely's. At length they heard a faint and melancholy sound, like someone in lamentation. "Ha," quoth Will Scarlet. "This must be looked into. There is someone in distress nigh to us here." "I know not," quoth Will Stutely, shaking his head doubtfully. "Our master is ever rash about thrusting his finger into a boiling pot. But for my part, I see no use in getting ourselves into mischievous coils. Yon is a man's voice, if I mistake not, and a man should be always ready to get himself out from his own pothers." Then out spake Will Scarlet boldly. "Now out upon thee to talk in that manner, Stutely. Stay, if thou dost list. I go to see what may be the trouble of this poor creature." "Nay," quoth Stutely, "thou dost leap so quickly thou'lt tumble into the ditch. Who said I would not go? Come along, say I." Thus saying, he led the way, the others following, till, after they had gone a short distance, they came to a little opening in the woodland, whence a brook, after gurgling out from under the tangle of overhanging bushes, spread out into a broad and glassy pebbled pool. By the side of this pool, and beneath the branches of a willow, lay a youth upon his face, weeping aloud, the sound of which had first caught the quick ears of Stutely. His golden locks were tangled, his clothes were all awry, and everything about him betokened sorrow and woe. Over his head, from the branches of the osier, hung a beautiful harp of polished wood, inlaid with gold and silver in fantastic devices. Beside him lay a stout ashen bow, and half a score of fair, smooth arrows. "Halloa!" shouted Will Stutely, when they had come out from the forest into the little open spot. "Who art thou, fellow, that liest there, killing all the green grass with salt water?" Hearing the voice, the stranger sprang to his feet, and, snatching up his bow and fitting a shaft, held himself in readiness for whatever ill might befall him. "Truly," said one of the yeomen, when they had seen the young stranger's face, "I do know that lad right well. He is a certain minstrel that I have seen hereabouts more than once. It was only a week ago I saw him skipping across the hill like a yearling doe. What a fine sight he was then, with a flower at his ear and a cock's plume stuck in his cap. But now methinks our cockerel is shorn of his gay feathers." "Pah!" cried Will Stutely, coming up to the stranger. Wipe thine eyes, man. I do hate to see a tall, stepped fellow so snivelling like a girl of 14 over a dead tomtit. Put down thy bow, man, we mean thee no harm. But Will Scarlet, seeing how the stranger, who had a young and boyish look, was stung by the words that Stutely had spoken, came to him, and put his hand upon the youth's shoulder. Nay, thou art in trouble, poor boy, said he kindly. Mind not what these fellows have said. They are rough, but they mean thee well. Mayhap they do not understand a lad like thee. Thou shalt come with us, and perchance we may find certain one that can aid thee in thy perplexities, whatsoever they may be. Yea, truly, come along, said Will Stutely, gruffly. I meant thee no harm, and may mean thee some good. Take down thy singing tool from off this fair tree, and away with us. Hi, Eternal Divine Fox. Hello, how are you doing? Godless Judge. Yeah, we read here. Heck yeah. Right, so, hi, Legit Lord. Hello, so good to see you. They are laying in wait. They were laying in wait along a main road for someone rich to walk by, and they were basically going to coerce or abduct the rich person back to Sherwood Forest, either by trickery or force. And once there, they were going to feast him and give him a lot of food and beer, but then also relieve him of his money. But they waited there all day, and no one rich went by. So they're about to go back, and they hear someone crying. And it's a young bard. So, hi Moonstar, welcome back, how are you doing? Good to see you again. The youth did as he was bidden, and with bowed head and sorrowful step, accompanied the others, walking beside Will Scarlet. So they wended their way through the forest. The bright light faded from the sky, and a glimmering gray fell over all things. From the deeper recesses of the forest, the strange whispering sounds of nighttime came to the ear. All else was silent, saving only for the rattling of their footsteps amid the crisp, dry leaves of the last winter. At last, a ruddy glow shone before them here and there through the trees. A little farther, and they came to the open glade, now bathed in the pale moonlight. In the center of the open crackled a great fire, throwing a red glow all around. At the fire were roasting juicy steaks of venison, pheasants, capons, and fresh fish from the river. All the air was filled with the sweet smell of good things cooking. The little band made its way across the glade, many yeomen turning with curious looks and gazing after them, but none speaking or questioning them. So, with Will Scarlet upon one side, and Will Stutely upon the other, the stranger came to where Robin Hood sat on a seat of moss under the greenwood tree, with Little John standing beside him. "Good even, fair friend," said Robin Hood, rising as the other drew near. "And hast thou come to feast with me this day?" "Alas, I know not," said the lad, looking around him with dazed eyes, for he was bewildered with all that he saw. "Truly, I know not whether I be in a dream," said he to himself in a low voice. "Nay, marry," quoth Robin, laughing, "thou art awake, as thou wilt presently find, for a fine feast is a-cooking for thee. Thou art our honoured guest this day." Still the young stranger looked about him as though in a dream. Presently he turned to Robin. "Methinks," said he, "I know now where I am and what hath befallen me. Art not thou the great Robin Hood?" "Thou hast hit the bull's-eye," quoth Robin, clapping him upon the shoulder. "And hereabouts do call me by that name? Since thou knowest me, thou knowest also that he who feasteth with me must pay his reckoning. I trust thou hast a full purse with thee, fair stranger." "Alas," said the stranger, "I have no purse, nor no money either, saving only the half of a sixpence, the other half of which mine own dear love doth carry in her bosom, hung about her neck by a strand of silken thread." At this speech, a great shout of laughter went up from those around, whereat the poor boy looked as if he would die of shame. But Robin Hood turned sharply to Will Stutely. "Why, how now," quoth he, "is this the guest that thou hast brought us to fill our purse? Methinks thou hast brought but a lean cock to the market." "Nay, good master," answered Will Stutely, grinning, "he's no guest of mine. It was Will Scarlet that brought him hither." Then up spoke Will Scarlet, and told how they had found the lad in sorrow, and how he had brought him to Robin, thinking that he might perchance aid him in his trouble. Then Robin Hood turned to the youth, and, placing his hand upon the other's shoulder, held him off at arm's length, scanning his face closely. "A young face," quoth he in a low voice, half to himself. "A kind face, a good face. 'Tis like a maiden's for purity, and with all the fairest that e'er mine eyes did see, but, if I may judge fairly by thy looks, grief cometh to young as well as to old." At these words, spoken so kindly, the poor lad's eyes brimmed up with tears. "Nay, nay," said Robin hastily, "cheer up, lad. I warrant thy case is not so bad that it cannot be mended. What may be thy name?" "Allan a Dale is my name, good master." "Allan a Dale," repeated Robin, musing. "Allan a Dale. It doth seem to me that the name is not altogether strange to mine ears. Yet surely thou art the minstrel of whom we have been hearing lately, whose voice so charmeth all men? Dost thou not come from the Dale of Rotherstream, over beyond Staveley?" "Yea, truly," answered Allan, "I do come thence." "How old art thou, Allan?" said Robin. "I am but 20 years of age." "Methinks thou art over young to be perplexed with trouble," quoth Robin kindly. Then, turning to the others, he cried, "Come, lads, busk ye and get our feast ready. Only thou, Will Scarlet, and thou, Little John, stay here with me." Then, when the others had gone, each man about his business, Robin turned once more to the youth. "Now, lad," said he, "tell us thy troubles, and speak freely. A flow of words doth ever ease the heart of sorrows. It is like opening the waste weir when the mill dam is overfull. Come, sit thou here beside me, and speak at thine ease." Then straightway the youth told the 3 yeomen all that was in his heart, at first in broken words and phrases, then freely and with greater ease when he saw that all listened closely to what he said. So he told them how he had come from York to the sweet vale of Rother, travelling the country through as a minstrel, stopping now at castle, now at hall, and now at a farmhouse. How he had spent one sweet evening in a certain broad, low farmhouse, where he sang before a stout franklin and a maiden, as pure and lovely as the first snowdrop of spring. How he had played and sung to her, and how sweet Ellen of the Dale had listened to him and had loved him. Then, in a low, sweet voice, scarcely louder than a whisper, he told how he had watched for her and met her now and then when she went abroad, but was all too afraid in her sweet presence to speak to her, until at last, beside the banks of Rother, he had spoken of his love, and she had whispered that which had made his heartstrings quiver for joy. Then they broke a sixpence between them and vowed to be true to one another forever. Oh. Next he told how her father had discovered what was a-doing and had taken her away from him so that he never saw her again, and his heart was sometimes like to break. How this morn, only 1 short month and a half from the time that he had seen her last, he had heard, and knew it to be so, that she was to marry old Sir Stephen of Trent 2 days hence, for Ellen's father thought it would be a grand thing to have his daughter marry so high, albeit she wished it not. nor was it wonder that a knight should wish to marry his own sweet love, who was the most beautiful maiden in all the world. To all this, the yeoman listened in silence, the clatter of many voices, jesting and laughing, sounding around them, and the red light of the fire shining on their faces and in their eyes. So simple were the poor boy's words, and so deep his sorrow, that even Little John felt a certain knotty lump rise in his throat. "I wonder not," said Robin, after a moment's silence, "that thy true love loved thee, for thou hast surely a silver cross beneath thy tongue, even like good St. Francis, that could charm the birds of the air by his speech." "By the breath of my body," burst forth Little John, seeking to cover his feelings with angry words, "I've a great part of my mind to go straightway and cudgel the nasty life out of the body of that same vile Sir Stephen. Marry, come up, say I. What a plague! Does an old weazen think that tender lasses ought to be bought like pullets of a market day? Out upon him! But no matter, only let him look to himself." Then up spoke Will Scarlet. "Well, methinks it seemeth but ill done of the lass that she should so quickly change at others' bidding, more especially when it cometh to the marrying of a man as old as the same Sir Stephen. I like it not in her, Allan." "Nay," said Allan hotly, "thou dost wrong her. She is as soft and gentle as a stock-dove. I know her better than anyone in all the world. Oh, she may do her father's bidding, but if she marries Sir Stephen, her heart will break, and she will die. Oh, my own sweet dear, He stopped and shook his head, for he could say nothing further. And while the others were speaking, Robin Hood had been sunk in thought. "Methinks I have a plan might fit thy case, Allan," said he. "But tell me first, thinkest thou, lad, that thy true love hath spirit enough to marry thee, were ye together in church, the banns published, and the priest found, even were her father to say nay?" "Aye, marry would she?" cried Allan eagerly. "Then, if her father be the man that I take him to be, I will undertake that he shall give you both his blessing as wedded man and wife, in the place of old Sir Stephen, and upon his wedding morn. But stay, now I bethink thee there is one thing reckoned not upon. The priest. Truly, those of the cloth do not love me overmuch, and when it comes to doing as I desire in such a matter, they are as like as not to prove stiff-necked. As to the lesser clergy, they fear to do me a favor because of abbot or bishop." "Nay," quoth Will Scarlet, laughing, "so far as that goeth, I know of a certain friar that, couldst thou but get on the soft side of him, would do thy business even though Pope Joan herself stood forth to ban him. He is known as the Curtal Friar of Fountain Abbey, and dwelleth in Fountain Dale." "But," quoth Robin, "Fountain Abbey is a good 100 miles from here, and we would help this lad. We have no time to go thither and back before his true love will be married. Naught is to be gained there, coz." "Yea," quoth Will Scarlet, laughing again, "but this Fountain Abbey is not so far away as the one of which thou speakest, uncle. The Fountain Abbey of which I speak is no such rich and proud place as the other, but a simple little cell, yet withal as cozy a spot as ever stout anchorite dwelt within. I know the place well, and can guide thee thither, for though it is a goodly distance, yet methinks a stout pair of legs could carry a man there and back in one day." "Well, then, give me thy hand, Allan," cried Robin, "and let me tell thee, I swear by the bright hair of Saint Alfreda, that this time 2 days hence, Elena Dale shall be thy wife. I will seek this same friar of Fountain Abbey tomorrow day, and I warrant I will get upon the soft side of him, even if I have to drub one soft." At this, Will Scarlet laughed again. "Be not too sure of that, good uncle," quoth he. "Nevertheless, from what I know of him, I think this Curtal Friar will gladly join two such fair lovers, more especially if there be good eating and drinking afoot thereafter. Are we gonna meet Friar Tuck finally? He hasn't been in any of the stories yet. Is this gonna be Friar Tuck?" Dude, these lads are constantly getting concussions. Yes. Okay, so the TLDR, the minstrel is sad because he fell in love and they were in love, but her father didn't approve. So he took the daughter away and now is making her marry some old guy. And he's sad both because he's separated from his love and because he believes that if his love is forced to marry the old guy, she'll die of a broken heart. Notorious Steven, thank you for the follow. Welcome. He's gonna beat Robin's ass if the pattern. Someone's gonna beat Robin's ass. Yeah. Not leaving you. Okay. Whenever you need to, though, Fitch. All right. But now one of the band came to say that the feast was spread upon the grass. So Robin leading the way, the others followed to where the goodly feast was spread. Merry was the meal, jest and story passed freely, and all laughed till the forest rang again. Allan, Allan, quoth he, so much has been said of thy singing that we would fain have a taste of thy skill ourselves. Canst thou not give us something? Oh, surely, answered Allan readily, for he was no third-rate songster that must be asked again and again, but yes or no at the first bidding. So, taking up his harp, he ran his fingers lightly over the sweetly sounding strings, and all hushed about the cloth. Then, backing his voice with sweet music on his harp, he sang May Ellen's Wedding. Welcome in. Is it Jesus or Jesus? But also the way that you have the S-U-S capitalized makes it like if it was French, Jesus. There's layers to your name. Welcome in, thank you for the follow. Surely she will marry his broke ass. I mean, hopefully Allan's correct about this. Hopefully he's correct about her feelings. Alright, so May Ellen's wedding, giving an account of how she was beloved by a fairy prince who took her to his own home. Nice voice, thank you. May Ellen sat beneath a thorn, and in a shower around, the blossoms fell at every breeze like snow upon the ground. And in a lime tree near was heard the sweet song of a strange wild bird. Oh sweet, 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 oh piercing sweet, oh lingering sweet the strain. May Ellen's heart within her breast stood still with blissful pain. And so with listening upturned face, she sat as dead in that fair place. Come down from out the blossoms, bird, come down from out the tree, and on my heart I'll let thee lie, and love thee tenderly. Thus cried May Ellen, soft and low, from where the hawthorn shed its snow. Down dropped the bird on quivering wing from out the blossoming tree, and nestled in her snowy breast. My love, cried she. Then straightway home, mid sun and flower, she bare him to her own sweet bower. Hi readers, welcome. The day hath passed to mellow night, the moon floats o'er the lea, and in its solemn pallid light a youth stands silently, a youth of beauty strange and rare, within May Ellen's bower there. He stood where o'er the pavement cold the glimmering moonbeams lay. May Ellen gazed with wide, scared eyes, nor could she turn away. For as in mystic dreams we see, a spirit stood he silently. All in a low and breathless voice, "Whence comest thou?" said she. "Art thou the creature of a dream, or a vision that I see?" Then spake he, as night winds shiver through straining reeds beside the river. I came, a bird on feathered wing, from distant fairyland, where murmuring waters softly sing upon the golden strand, where sweet trees are forever green, and there my mother is the queen. No more May Ellen leaves her bower to grace the blossoms fair, but in the hushed and midnight hour they hear her talking there. Or when the moon is shining white, they hear her singing through the night. "Oh, don thy silks and jewels fine," May Ellen's mother said, "for hither comes the lord of Line, and thou this lord must wed." May Ellen said, "It may not be, he ne'er shall find his wife in me." Up spoke her brother, dark and grim, "Now by the bright blue sky, ere yet a day hath gone for him, thy wicked bird shall die, for he hath wrought thee bitter harm by some strange art or cunning charm." Then, with a sad and mournful song, away the bird did fly, and o'er the castle eaves and through the grey and windy sky. "Come forth," then cried the brother grim, "why dost thou gaze so after him?" It is May Ellen's wedding day. The sky is blue and fair, and many a lord and lady gay in church are gathered there. The bridegroom was Sir Hugh the Bold, all clad in silk and cloth of gold. In came the bride in samite white, with a white wreath on her head. Her eyes were fixed with a glassy look, her face was as the dead. And when she stood among the throng, she sang a wild and wondrous song. Then came a strange and rushing sound, like the coming wind doth bring, and in the open window shot 9 swans on whistling wing. In high above the birds the heads they flew, in gleaming flight the darkness through. Around May Ellen's head they flew in wide and windy fight, and 3 times round the circle drew, the guests shrank in affright. And the priest beside the altar there did cross himself with muttered prayer. But the 3rd time they flew around, fair Ellen straight was gone, and in her place upon the ground there stood a snow-white swan. Then with a wild and lovely song it joined the swift and winged throng. There's an ancient man at weddings been for 60 years and more, but such a wondrous wedding day they never saw before. But none could check and none could stay the swans that bore the bride away. Not a sound broke the stillness when Allan a Dale had done, but all sat gazing at the handsome singer, for so sweet was his voice and the music that each man sat with bated breath, lest one drop more should come and he should lose it. "By my faith and my troth," quoth Robin at last, drawing a deep breath, "lad, thou must not leave our company, Allan. Wilt thou not stay with us here in the sweet green forest? Truly, I do feel my heart go out toward thee with great love." Then Allan took Robin's hand and kissed it. "I will stay with thee always, dear master," said he, "for never have I known such kindness as thou hast shown me this day." Sorry, the chapter is not over, but I didn't properly welcome in the raiders. I thought there was only going to be like a couple of stanzas left of that poem, Thomas. And so I was like, I'll finish the poem and then welcome in Thomas, but then it ended up being so long. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thomas, thank you so much for the raid. I'm so sorry for such a delayed welcome. You guys, make sure you are following A Time with Thomas. Thank you so much. Thomas, if you're still here, how was your stream tonight? What were you guys getting up to? Val is never beating the Allegro da Capo. Alec, how dare you? hate that that song that I impromptu made up during that particular Oz book, I still sing it sometimes. I'll just be like washing dishes and I'll be like, I'm allegro da canto, a very funny man. I don't even remember the words actually. But yes, Thomas, thank you so much for coming to join us. Then Will Scarlet stretched forth his hand and shook Allan's in token of friendship, as did Little John likewise, and thus the famous Allan a Dale became one of Robin Hood's band. But wait, are they still getting him hitched though? Is his wife gonna live with them? 'Cause so far, isn't it just dudes living in the forest? Like, yeah, boys only? I don't know, maybe this will be the start of there being women. And then she'll be like, by the way, this is my bestie Marion? I don't know. Like, we've got Little John. We've got Will Scarlet. We don't yet have Friar Tuck or Marion. Like, we need the whole set. No girls allowed. Okay. Maybe they'll make, like, a separate camp nearby in the forest for the girls. I'm sure they'd love that. Okay. Yeah, just one girl singular. Yeah. Is she stout and lusty? She better be. Actually, I think when it comes to women, Howard Pyle did add another adjective. He did use the word buxom. AKA. Okay. Are we ready to jump into the next story? This one is called Robin Hood Seeks the Curtal Friar. I'm not sure what curtal means, and I want to Google it. What? Okay, neither of these meanings seem correct. One of them means shortened, abridged, or curtailed. And the other meaning, that's the archaic meaning. The historical meaning is like a bassoon. Like the instrument. So what would a curtal friar be? Oh. A friar who served as an attendant at the gate of a monastery court. As a curtal dog was not privileged to hunt or course, so a curtal friar virtually meant a worldly-minded one. Okay, so he's not like as entrenched. Maybe hasn't taken like all the vows. Alright. Good. I'm glad we looked that up. Okay. He's a half-assed friar. Yeah. 100%. It's half-assed. Yeah. All right. Robin Hood Seeks the Curtal Friar. The stout yeomen of Sherwood Forest were ever early risers of a morn, more especially when the summertime had come, for then, in the freshness of the dawn, the dew was always the brightest, and the song of the small birds the sweetest. Quoth Robin, now will I go to seek the same friar of Fountain Abbey, of whom we spake yesternight, and I will take with me 4 of my good men, and these 4 shall be Little John, Will Scarlet, David of Doncaster, and Arthur a Bland. Bide the rest of you here, and Will Studley shall be your chief while I am gone. Then straightway Robin Hood donned a fine steel coat of chainmail, over which he put a light jacket of Lincoln green. Upon his head he clapped a steel cap, and this he covered by one of soft white leather, in which stood a nodding cock's plume. By his side he hung a good broadsword of tempered steel, the bluish blade marked all over with strange figures of dragons, winged women, and what not. Wait, that's my sword. What? I'm sorry. That sounds a lot like... That's where my sword went. Someone stole my sword back in the 12th century. Fucking Robin Hood. A gallant sight was Robin so arrayed, I wot, the glint of steel showing here and there as the sunlight caught brightly the links of polished mail that showed beneath his green coat. So, having arrayed himself, he and the 4 yeomen set forth upon their way, Will Scarlet taking the lead, for he knew better than the others whither to go. Thus, mile after mile they strode along, now across a brawling stream, now along a sunlit road, now adown some sweet forest path over which the trees met in green and rustling canopy, and at the end of which a herd of startled deer dashed away with rattle of leaves and crackle of branches. Onward they walked, with song and jest and laughter, till noontide was past, when at last they came to the banks of a wide, glassy, and lily-padded stream. Here, a broad beaten path stretched along beside the banks, on which path belabored the horses that tugged at the slow-moving barges, laden with barley meal or what-not, from the countryside to the many-towered town. But now, in the hot silence of the midday, no horse was seen, nor any man besides themselves. Behind them and before them stretched the river, its placid bosom ruffled here and there by the purple dusk of a small breeze. Good night, Buddha. Thanks for hanging out. Good night, good night. With all they've stolen, it's a wonder they haven't bought a horse or 4. I mean, keeping a horse in the woods might not be ideal. Like, they need, like, good grazing patches. I don't know. Plus, you have to feed them a bunch. I don't know. Should probably go veg as well. Oh my goodness. Alright. You guys, Vig and Buddha are going to bed at the same time. It's pretty sus. Good night, Vig. Thank you, thank you. Have a good night. Now, good uncle, quoth Will Scarlet at last, when they had walked for a long time beside this sweet, bright river. Just beyond yonder bend ahead of us is a shallow ford, which in no place is deeper than thy mid-thigh, and upon the other side of the stream is a certain little hermitage, hidden amidst the bosky tangle of the thickets wherein dwelleth the Friar of Fountaindale. Thither will I lead thee, for I know the way, albeit it is not over hard to find. Nay, quoth jolly Robin, stopping suddenly, had I thought that I should have had to wade water, even were it so crystal a stream as this, I had donned other clothes than I had upon me. But no matter now, for after all, a wedding will not wash the skin away, and what must be, must. But bide ye here, lads, for I would enjoy this merry adventure alone. Nevertheless, listen well, and if ye hear me sound upon my bugle horn, come quickly. So saying, he turned and left them, striding onward, alone. I'm sad that we lost thither and whither from our lexicon. Dress the horse in fine Lincoln green, of course. Is there any other color? Robin had walked no farther than where the bend of the road hid his good men from his view, when he stopped suddenly, for he thought he heard voices. He stood still and listened, and presently heard words passed back and forth betwixt what seemed to be two men, and yet the two voices were wondrously alike. The sound came from over behind the bank, that here was steep and high, dropping from the edge of the road a score of feet to the sedgy verge of the river. "'Tis strange," muttered Robin to himself after a space, when the voices had ceased their talking. "Surely there be two people that spoke the one to the other, and yet methinks their voices are mightily alike. I make my vow that never have I heard the like in all my life before. Truly, if this twain are to be judged by their voices, no two peas were ever more alike. I will look into this matter." So saying, he came softly to the river bank, and laying him down upon the grass, peered over the edge and down below. All was cool and shady beneath the bank. A stout osier grew, not straight upward, but leaning across the water, shadowing the spot with its soft foliage. All around grew a mass of feathery ferns, such as hide and nestle in cool places, and up to Robin's nostrils came the tender odor of the wild thyme that loves the moist verges of running streams. Here, with his broad back against the rugged trunk of the willow tree, and half hidden by the soft ferns around him, sat a stout, brawny fellow, but no other man was there. His head was as round as a ball, and covered with a mat of close-clipped, curly black hair that grew low down on his forehead. But his crown was shorn as smooth as the palm of one's hand, which, together with his loose robe, cowl, and string of beads, showed that which his looks never would have done, that he was a friar. His cheeks were as red and shining as a winter crab, albeit they were nearly covered over with a close curly black beard, as were his chin and upper lip likewise. His neck was thick like that of a north country bull, and his round head closely set upon the shoulders, e'en a match for those of Little John himself. Beneath his bushy black brows danced a pair of little grey eyes that could not stand still for very drollery of humour. No man could look into his face and not feel his heartstrings tickled by the merriment of their look. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my goodness, raiders! Hello, raiders! Oh my goodness me. Hello. Also, right before the raid came in, Red Bean Komu, thank you for the follow. Welcome, dreamers. Hi, Bowman. To play it tonight, thank you for the follow. Right, so we have been blessed. Is Nat behind this one? Nat? You cutie. Creepin' TV, thank you for the follow. You guys, if any of you, by some slim happenstance, are not following Bowman Dean, like, get on that. Bowman is so freaking talented. He's like raising the bar always for like creativity and skill with the tingles. He brings the tingles, Pringles the tingles. Plus he's so freaking kind and just like such a lovely human. Make sure you're following Bowman Dean. Jason said again here in Bowman. Oh, welcome everyone. Banana, thank you for gifting a sub to Bowman Dean. Oh my gosh, you're just raid training. Oh my god. Hi, Farrell. Hello. Welcome in. Yeah, we are maybe meeting Friar Tuck. We're meeting a friar. We're reading The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood. If any of you are new here, I'm Faolkor, the book dragon. And yeah, we read here and also do traditional soft-spoken ASMR. Sparkling dragon, another dragon. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Once we finish our reading segment, we will be going back to like having triggers open and doing, more typical ASMR triggers. But yeah, kind of like the middle of the stream, we tend to do a bit of reading and pause the triggers during that. But yeah, if you feel like having some story time, which I am finding these stories very entertaining, then get cozy, and we will be doing more triggers later. But you're on off lurk, no problem, Bowman. Oh my goodness. Bowman, if you are around later when we go back into triggers, I'd love to do a name trace for you. So like, let me know if you're around later. I would love to do that. But either way, thank you so much. I hope you had a wonderful stream. Yeah, we are reading The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood. This is our third stream reading these stories. It was originally meant to just be a single stream of it. Once a month we do a bonus stream that's either a Mythology Monday or a Folklore Friday, just depending on what day it lands on. But we read mythology, folklore, fairy tales from different cultures all around the world. And yeah, the end of November one, we read Robin Hood, and we were having so much fun with it that we decided to keep going and read the rest of the stories in this collection. Shalom Phillips, am I saying that right? Thank you for the follow. Inchasuble? Wait, I don't know that word. Oh, the outermost liturgical vestment worn by clergy for the celebration of the Eucharist in Western tradition. Right, okay. Wait, how to... If you're saying it with a... Because I read it in a French accent, would it be chasuble? In an English accent, chasuble? Chasuble? Do I own stiletto heels? No. I don't know how to walk in heels. Oh yeah, this book is like full of innuendos that aren't meant to be innuendos. It's a totally innocent, wholesome book, but it just keeps saying things that sound like they're cheeky innuendos. It's your #1 channel by far in Twitch recap, Banana. Thank you. Thank you. Nothing in this is coincidental. I mean, I don't know. If a cow jumps and breaks the fence, what time is it? Time to fix the fence? A friar is a mendicant monk, so traditionally poor or unhoused, and Curtal is a reference to his poor man's garb, a curtailed robe, not the smock of a parish priest. Wait, okay, so the Curtal is referring to the fact that his literal robes are shorter. Not that he's a half-ass friar, but like... Yes, did I get the answer right? Hell yeah. Yeah, poor okay, cool. Sasha, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. Okay. Alright. By his side lay a steel cap, which he had laid off for the sake of the coolness to his crown. His legs were stretched wide apart, and betwixt his knees he held a great pasty compounded of juicy meats of divers kinds, made savoury with tender young onions, both meat and onions being mingled with a good rich gravy. Oh, that sounds amazing. In his right fist he held a great piece of brown crust, at which he munched sturdily. Even his munching is sturdy. and every now and then he thrust his left hand into the pie and drew it forth full of meat. Anon he would take a mighty pull at the great bottle of Malmsey that lay beside him. By my faith, quoth Robin to himself, I do verily believe that this is the merriest feast, the merriest wight, the merriest place, and the merriest sight in all merry England. I thought there was another here, but it must have been this holy man talking to himself. So Robin lay watching the friar, and the friar, all unknowing that he was so overlooked, ate his meal placidly. At last he was done, and having first wiped his greasy hands upon the ferns and wild thyme, and sweeter napkin ne'er had king in all the world, he took up his flask and began talking to himself as though he were another man, and answering himself as though he were somebody else. Dear lad, thou art the sweetest fellow in all the world. I do love thee as a lover loveth his lass. La, thou dost make me shame to speak so to me in this solitary place, no one being by, and yet if thou wilt have me say so, I do love thee as thou lovest me. Nay, then, wilt thou not take a drink of good Malmsey? After thee, lad, after thee. Nay, I beseech thee, sweeten the draught with thy lips. Here he passed the flask from his right hand to his left. He's so lonely. Bro is courting himself here. And thou wilt force it on me so. I must needs do thy bidding. Yet with the more pleasure do I so, as I drink thy very great health. Here he took a long, deep draught. And now, sweet lad, 'tis thy turn next. Here he passed the bottle. He passed the bottle from his left hand back again to his right. I take it, sweet chuck, and here's wishing thee as much good as thou wishest me. Saying so, he took another draught, and truly, he drank enough for two. All this time, merry Robin lay upon the bank and listened, while his stomach so quaked with laughter that he was forced to press his palm against his mouth to keep it from bursting forth. For truly, he would not have spoiled such a goodly jest for the half of Nottinghamshire. Having gotten his breath from his last draught, the friar began talking again in this wise. Now, sweet lad, canst thou not sing me a song? La, I know not. I am but in an ill voice this day. Prithee, ask me not. Dost thou not hear how I croak like a frog? Nay, thy voice is as sweet as a bullfinch. Come, sing, I prithee. I would rather hear thee sing than eat a fair feast. Also, I would fain not sing before one that can pipe so well, and hath heard so many goodly songs and ballads. Nevertheless, an thou wilt have it so, I will do my best. But now, methinks that thou and I might sing some fair song together. Dost thou not know a certain dainty little catch called The Loving Youth and the Scornful Maid? Why, truly, methinks I have heard it ere now. Then dost thou not think that thou couldst take the lass's part if I take the lad's? I know not, but I will try. Begin thou with the lad, and I will follow with the lass. And then, singing first with a voice deep and gruff, and anon in one high and squeaking, he blithely trolled the merry catch of The Loving Youth and the Scornful Maid. Ah, it's wilt thou come with me, my love, and it's wilt thou love he mine, for I will give unto thee, my love, gay knots and ribbons so fine. I'll woo thee, love, on my bended knee, and I'll pipe sweet songs to none but thee. Then it's hark, hark, hark to the winged lark, and it's hark to the cooing dove, and the bright daffodil groweth down by the rill, so come thou and be my love. Now get thee away, young man so fine, now get thee away, I say, for my true love shall never be thine, and so thou hadst better not stay. Thou art not a fine enough lad for me, so I'll wait till a better young man I see, for it's hark, hark, hark to the winged lark, and it's hark to the cooing dove, and the bright daffodil groweth down by the rill, yet never I'll be thy love. Then straight will I seek for another fair she, for many a maid can be found. And as thou wilt never have aught of me, by thee will I never be bound. For never is a blossom in the field so rare, but the others are found that are just as fair. So it's hark, hark, hark to the joyous lark, and it's hark to the cooing dove. And the bright daffodil groweth down by the rill, and I'll seek me another dear love. Young man, turn not to the very quick away, another fair lass to find. Methinks I have spoken in haste today, nor have I made up my mind. And if thou wilt only stay with me, I'll love no other sweet lad but thee. Here, Robin could contain himself no longer. But burst forth into a mighty roar of laughter. Then the holy friar, keeping on with the song, he joined in the chorus, and together they sang, or, as one might say, bellowed. So it's hark, hark, hark to the joyous lark, and it's hark to the cooing dove. For the bright daffodil groweth down by the rill, and I'll be thine own true love. So they sang together. For the stout friar did not seem to have heard Robin's laughter, neither did he seem to know that the yeoman had joined in with the song, but with eyes half closed, looking straight before him and wagging his round head from side to side in time with the music, he kept on, bravely to the end, he and Robin finishing up with a mighty roar that might have been heard a mile. But no sooner had the last word been sung than the holy man seized his steel cap, clapped it on his head, and, springing to his feet, cried in a great voice, What spy have we here? Come forth, thou limb of evil, and I will carve thee into as fine pudding meat as e'er a wife in Yorkshire cooked of a Sunday. Hereupon he drew from beneath his robes a great broadsword, full as stout as was Robin's. I really hope Robin's gonna get his ass kicked again. That just seems to be how these stories go, so. Hey, Will, thank you for gifting a sub to Insanity Avoidance. Also, Insanity, so good to see you. Oh my goodness. Back in the right time. I love your passionate narration so much. Insanity, thank you. Thank you I'm so glad you're enjoying it. I think he's been alone for a while, yeah. That last bit scans to a Kenny Rogers song called Somebody Help Me. Oh, interesting. Nay, put up thy pinking iron, friend, quoth Robin, standing up with the tears of laughter still on his cheeks. Folk who have sung so sweetly together should not fight thereafter. Hereupon he leapt down from the bank to where the other stood. I tell thee, friend, said he, my throat is as parched with that song as e'er a barley stubble in October. Hast thou haply any momsey left in that stout pottle? Truly, said the friar in a glum voice, thou dost ask thyself freely, where thou art not bidden. Yet I trust I am too good a Christian to refuse any man drink that is athirst. Such as there is, art thou welcome to drink of the same. And he held the pottle out to Robin. Robin took it without more ado, and putting it to his lips, tilted his head back, while that which was within said, glug, 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 for more than 3 winks, I wot. The stout friar watched Robin anxiously the while, and when he was done, took the pottle quickly. He shook it, held it betwixt his eyes and the light, looked reproachfully at the yeoman, and straightway placed it at his own lips. When it came away again, there was naught within it. Dost thou know the country hereabouts, thou good and holy man? Asked Robin, laughing. Yea, somewhat, answered the other dryly. And dost thou know of a certain spot called Fountain Abbey? Yea, somewhat. Then perchance thou knowest also of a certain one who goeth by the name of the Curtal Friar of Fountain Abbey? Yea, somewhat. Well then, good fellow, holy father, or whatever thou art, quoth Robin, I would know whether this same friar is to be found upon this side of the river or the other. That, quoth the friar, is a practical question upon which the cunning rules appertaining to logic touch not. I do advise thee to find that out by the aid of thine own 5 senses, sight, feeling, and what not. I do wish much, quoth Robin, looking thoughtfully at the stout priest, to cross yon ford and strive to find this same good friar. Truly, said the other piously, it is a goodly wish on the part of one so young. Far be it from me to check thee in so holy a quest. Friend, the river is free to all. Yea, good father, said Robin, but thou seest that my clothes are of the finest. I fain would not get them wet. Methinks thy shoulders are stout and broad. Couldst thou not find it in thy heart to carry me across? Now, by the white hand of the holy lady of the fountain, burst forth the friar in a mighty rage, dost thou poor puny stripling, thou kiss my lady La Popinjay, thou, what shall I call thee? Dost thou ask me, the holy tuck, to carry thee? I swear. Here he paused suddenly, then slowly the anger passed from his face, and his little eyes twinkled once more. But why should I not? Quoth he piously. Did not the holy Saint Christopher ever carry the stranger across the river? But should I, poor sinner that I am, be ashamed to do likewise? Come with me, stranger, and I will do thy bidding in an humble frame of mind. So saying, he clambered up the bank, closely followed by Robin, and led the way to the shallow, pebbly ford, chuckling to himself the while, as though he were enjoying some goodly jest within himself. Having come to the ford, he girded up his robes about his loins, tucked his good broadsword beneath his arm, and stooped his back to take Robin upon it. Suddenly he straightened up. Methinks, quoth he, thou'lt get thy weapon wet. Let me tuck it beneath mine arm along with mine own. Nay, good father, said Robin, I would not burden thee with aught of mine but myself. Dost thou think, said the friar mildly, that the good Saint Christopher would have sought his own ease so? Nay, give me thy tool as I bid thee, for I would carry it as a penance to my pride. Upon this, without more ado, Robin Hood unbuckled his sword from his side and handed it to the other, who thrust it with his own beneath his arm. Then once more the friar bent his back, and Robin, having mounted upon it, he stepped sturdily into the water, and so strode onward, splashing in the shoal and breaking all the smooth surface into ever-widening rings. At last he reached the other side, and Robin leapt lightly from his back. Many thanks, good father, quoth he. Thou art indeed a good and holy man. Prithee, give me my sword and let me away, for I am in haste. At this, the stout friar looked upon Robin for a long time, his head on one side and with a most waggish twist to his face, and then he slowly winked his right eye. Nay, good youth, said he gently, I doubt not that thou art in haste with thine affairs, yet thou dost think nothing of mine. Thine are of a carnal nature, mine are of a spiritual nature, a holy work, so to speak. Moreover, mine affairs do lie upon the other side of this stream. I see by thy quest of this same holy recluse that thou art a good young man and most reverent to the cloth. I did get wet coming hither, and am sadly afraid that should I wade the water again I might get certain cricks and pains of the joints that would mar my devotion for many a day to come. I know that since I have so humbly done thy bidding, thou wilt carry me back again. Thou seest how Saint Godric, that holy hermit whose natal day this is, hath placed in my hands 2 swords, and in thine never a one. Therefore be persuaded, good youth, and carry me back again. Good night, Loki. Good night, good night. Robin Hood looked up, and he looked down, biting his nether lip. Quoth he, "Thou cunning friar, thou hast me fair and fast enow. Let me tell thee, that not one of thy cloth hath so hoodwinked me in all my life before. I might have known by thy looks that thou wert no such holy man as thou didst pretend to be." "Nay," interrupted the friar, "I bid thee speak not so scurrilously neither, lest thou mayst perchance feel the prick of an inch or so of blue steel." "Tut, tut," said Robin, "speak not so, friar. The loser hath ever the right to use his tongue as he doth list. Give me my sword. I do promise to carry thee back straightway. Nay, I will not lift the weapon against thee." "Marry, come up," quoth the friar. "I fear thee not, fellow. Here is thy skewer, and get thyself presently ready, for I would hasten back." So Robin took his sword again and buckled it at his side. Then he bent his stout back and took the friar upon it. Now, I wot Robin Hood had a heavier load to carry in the friar than the friar had in him. Moreover, he did not know the ford, so he went stumbling across the stones, now stepping into a deep hole, and now nearly tripping over a boulder, while the sweat ran down his face in beads from the hardness of his journey and the heaviness of his load. Meantime, the friar kept digging his heels into Robin's sides and bidding him hasten, calling him many ill names the while. To all this Robin answered never a word, but having softly felt around till he felt the buckle of the belt that held the friar's sword, he worked slyly at the fastenings, seeking to loosen them. Thus it came about that by the time he had reached the other bank with his load, the friar's sword belt was loose, albeit he knew it not. So when Robin stood on dry land and the friar leapt from his back, the yeoman gripped hold of the sword so that blade, sheath, and strap came away from the holy man, leaving him without a weapon. "Now then," quoth merry Robin, panting as he spake and wiping the sweat from his brow, "I have thee, fellow. This time that same saint of whom thou didst speak, but now hath delivered 2 swords into my hand, and hath stripped thine away from thee. Now, if thou dost not carry me back, and that speedily, I swear I will prick thy skin till it is as full of holes as a slashed doublet." The good friar said not a word for a while, but he looked at Robin with a grim look. "Now," said he at last, "I did think that thy wits were of the heavy sort, and knew not that thou wert so cunning. Truly thou hast me upon the hip. Give me my sword, and I promise not to draw it against thee, save in self-defense. Also, I promise to do thy bidding and take thee upon my back and carry thee. Sorry, I need a sip. My mouth is getting dry. Slash Doublet is a pretty good name for medieval themed hard rock band. That's the style, you know, like in pictures where there's like cuts and then the undershirt kind of like poofs out between the slashes, is what they're talking about there. Was a style. Sleeveless jerkin and hose. So jolly Robin gave him his sword again, which the friar buckled to his side, and this time looked to it that it was more secure in its fastenings. Then, tucking up his robes once more, sorry, I just swallowed all that water, hold on. He took Robin Hood upon his back and, without a word, stepped into the water, and so waded on in silence while Robin sat laughing upon his back. At last he reached the middle of the ford where the water was deepest. Here he stopped for a moment, and then, with a sudden lift of his hand and heave of his shoulders, fairly shot Robin over his head as though he were a sack of grain. Down went Robin into the water with a mighty splash. "There," quoth the holy man, calmly turning back again to the shore, "let that cool thy hot spirit, if it may." Meantime, after much splashing, Robin had gotten to his feet and stood, gazing about him, all bewildered, the water running from him in pretty little rills. At last he shot the water out of his ears and spat some out of his mouth, and gathering his scattered wits together, saw the stout friar standing on the bank and laughing. Then, I wot, was Robin Hood a mad man. "Stay, thou villain!" roared he. "I am after thee straight, and if I do not carve thy brawn for thee this day, may I never lift finger again." So saying, he dashed, splashing, to the bank. "Thou needst not hasten thyself unduly," quoth the stout friar. "Fear not, I will abide here, and if thou dost not cry alack a day ere long time is gone, may I never more peep through the brake at a fallow deer." Northern Knight, thank you for the follow. Welcome. And now, Robin, having reached the bank, began, without more ado, to roll up his sleeves above his wrists. The friar also tucked his robes more about him, showing a great stout arm on which the muscles stood out like humps of an aged tree. Then Robin saw, what he had not wotted of before, that the friar also had a coat of chainmail beneath his gown. "Look to thyself," cried Robin, drawing his good sword. "Ay, marry," quoth the friar, who held his already in his hand. So without more ado, they came together, and thereupon began a fierce and mighty battle. Right and left and up and down and back and forth they fought. The swords flashed in the sun, and then met with a clash that sounded far and near. I wot this was no playful bout at quarterstaff, but a grim and serious fight of real earnest. Thus they strove for an hour or more, pausing every now and then to rest, at which times they looked at the other with wonder, and thought that never had he seen so stout a fellow. Then once again they would go at it more fiercely than ever. Yet in all this time neither had harmed the other, nor caused his blood to flow. At last merry Robin cried, "Hold thy hand, good friend," whereupon both lowered their swords. "Now, I crave a boon ere we begin again," quoth Robin, wiping the sweat from his brow, for they had striven so long that he began to think that it would be an ill-done thing either to be smitten himself or to smite so stout and brave a fellow. "What wouldst thou have of me?" asked the friar. "Only this," quoth Robin, "that thou would let me blow thrice upon my bugle horn." Why would he let him do? That's obviously like alerting someone. Like, why else would you blow upon a horn? They can't ever make friends without being there. That's how he comes to like and respect people. But also it seems like every time he meets someone through fighting like this, they are the stoutest and lustiest man in all of England, and the best fight he's ever had. I don't know how they all managed to be that, but The friar bent his brows and looked shrewdly at Robin Hood. "Now, I do verily think that thou hast some cunning trick in this," quoth he. "Nevertheless, I fear thee not. I will let thee have thy wish, providing thou wilt also let me blow thrice upon this little whistle." "With all my heart," quoth Robin. "So, here goes for one." So saying, he raised his silver horn to his lips and blew thrice upon it, clear and high. Meanwhile, the friar stood watching keenly for what might come to pass, holding in his fingers the while a pretty silver whistle, such as knights use for calling their hawks back to their wrists, which whistle always hung at his girdle, along with his rosary. Scarcely had the echo of the last note of Robin's bugle come winding back from across the river, when 4 tall men in Lincoln green came running around the bend of the road, each with a bow in his hand and an arrow ready nocked upon the string. "Ha! Is it thus, thou traitor knave?" cried the friar. "Then, marry, look to thyself." So saying, he straightway clapped the hawk's whistle to his lips and blew a blast that was both loud and shrill. And now there came a crackling of the bushes that lined the other side of the road, and presently forth from the covert burst 4 great, shaggy hounds. "At 'em, sweet lips! At 'em, bell throat! At 'em, beauty! At 'em, fangs!" His dogs are called Sweet Lips, Bell Throat, Beauty, and Fangs. Wow, cried the friar, pointing at Robin. And now it was well for that yeoman that a tree stood nigh him beside the road, else had he had an ill chance of it. Ere one could say, "Gaffer down the dale," the hounds were upon him, and he had only time to drop his sword and leap lightly into the tree, around which the hounds gathered, looking up at him as though he were a cat on the eaves. But the friar quickly called off his dogs. "At 'em!" cried he, pointing down the road to where the yeomen were standing stock still, with wonder of what they saw. As the hawk darts down upon its quarry, so sped the 4 dogs at the yeomen. But when the 4 men saw the hounds so coming, all with one accord, saving only Will Scarlet, drew each man his goose feather to his ear, and let fly his shaft. And now the old ballad telleth of a wondrous thing that happened. For thus it says, that each dog, so shot at, leapt lightly aside, and as the arrow passed him, whistling, caught it in his mouth and bit it in twain. Now, it would have been an ill day for these 4 good fellows had not Will Scarlet stepped before the others and met the hounds as they came rushing. "Why, how now, Fangs?" cried he sternly. "Down, Beauty! Down, Sirrah! What means this?" At the sound of his voice, each dog shrank back quickly, and then straightway came to him, and licked his hands and fawned upon him, as is the wont of dogs that meet one they know. Then the 4 yeomen came forward, the hounds leaping around Will Scarlet joyously. "Why, how now?" cried the stout friar. "What means this? Art thou wizard to turn these wolves into lambs?" "Ha!" cried he, when they had come still nearer. "Can I trust mine eyes? What means it that I see young Master William Gamwell in such company?" "Nay, Tuck," said the young man, as the 4 came forward to where Robin was now clambering down from the tree in which he had been roosting, he having seen that all danger was over for the time. "Nay, Tuck, my name is no longer Will Gamwell, but Will Scarlet, and this is my good uncle, Robin Hood, with whom I am abiding just now." "Truly, good master," said the friar, looking somewhat abashed and reaching out his great palm to Robin. "I have often heard thy name both sung and spoken of, but I never thought to meet thee in battle. I crave thy forgiveness, and do wonder not that I found so stout a man against me." "Truly, most holy father," said Little John, "I am more thankful than e'er I was in all my life before, that our good friend Scarlet knew thee and thy dogs. I tell thee seriously that I felt my heart crumble away from me when I saw my shaft so miss its aim, and those great beasts of thine coming straight at me." "Well, thou mayst indeed be thankful, friend," said the friar gravely. "But, Master Will, how cometh it that thou dost now abide in Sherwood?" "Why, Tuck, dost thou not know of my ill happening with my father's steward?" answered Scarlet. "Yea, truly, yet I knew not that thou wert in hiding because of it. Marry, the times are all awry when a gentleman must lie hidden for so small a thing." "But we are losing time," quoth Robin, "and I have yet to find that same Curtal Friar." "Why, uncle, thou hast not far to go," said Will Scarlet, pointing to the friar. For there he stands beside thee. How? Quoth Robin. Art thou the man that I have been at such pains to seek all day, and have got such a ducking for? Why, truly, said the friar demurely. Some do call me the Curtal Friar of Fountaindale. Others again call me in jest the Abbot of Fountain Abbey. Others still again call me simple Friar Tuck. I like the last name best, quoth Robin, for it doth slip more glibly off the tongue. But why didst thou not tell me thou wert he I sought, instead of standing me searching for black moonbeams? Why, truly thou didst not ask me, good master, quoth stout Tuck, for what thou didst... But what didst thou desire of me? Not Downton Abbey, Fountain Abbey. Nay, quoth Robin, the day groweth late. We cannot stand longer talking here. Come back with us to Sherwood, and I will unfold all to thee as we travel along. So, without tarrying longer, they all departed, with the stout dogs at their heels, and wended their way back to Sherwood again. But it was long past nightfall ere they reached the greenwood tree. Now listen, for next I will tell how Robin Hood compassed the happiness of two young lovers, aided by the merry Friar Tuck of Fountaindale. End of chapter. Good night, Cassiax. Thank you for hanging out. Have a good night. How are we feeling, guys? Thoughts? Does anyone need a recap? Basically, they tricked each other a bunch. And we're doing some low-key bullying, hazing. And then they got into a fight. Because Robin Hood needs to get his ass kicked by everyone who joins the Merry Men. It's the rules. I don't make them up. It's one of the best wake-up routines you've had. Well, that is awesome. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. I would have been pissed if the dog got hurt. Me too. Me too. Did they say it was Tuck way earlier? They did not. They did not. I said, I wonder if this is going to be Friar Tuck. But they didn't call him Tuck until later. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was like, it's a friar. Oh, that was such a funny introduction to that character. Because, like, yeah, like, what do we know of Friar Tuck from, like, media representation? Yeah, he drinks a lot. He drinks a lot, and he's, like, yeah, a poor friar. But that was such a fun intro to him. Okay. Now, you say frère Tuck in French? Right, frère meaning brother. Friar is... I mean, is friar just the anglicization of frère? Or... Because it speaks to a very, like, specific standing within the church, right? From Old French, frère, brother. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, brother is definitely, like, a word used within churches a lot. Yeah. Very early morning. Okay, Hades. Asleep well. Thank you for hanging out. Have a good night. How's my croissant doing? Yeah, it's starting to hurt a bit, so I definitely need to take a stretch break. You'll watch the rest of the VOD. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Sleep well. Old French Dusty is an empty book. Yeah. Lemon's Land. Sister Book Dragon. Don't call me sister something. I have PTSD from being Mormon. Everyone calls each other brother something, sister something in the Mormon church. I didn't realize that, DJ. I haven't seen that in a long time. But, je sais, tu parles français? Are you from France or Canada? Or, well, no, you said you're getting started, so you'd be over in Europe, right? It's a holdover from antiquity, yeah. Oh, cool. Wait, why are you sorry, Visanon? What are you sorry about? What on earth are you sorry about? Je parle un peu de français, mais j'oublie la plupart. You drop little Mormon Easter eggs in some of your messages because YouTube and post-mo PTSD. Accent slowly. Oh, thank you. I feel like my accent is gone. I used to be able to speak French a lot more easily, but yeah, my accent and all of it, my grammar, my vocab, everything's gone downhill. So. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering because we are coming on, getting closer to 4 hours. I'm kind of wondering about, like, I need to take a stretch break either way. Have we read enough tonight? We didn't read as much tonight as... We've only read 2 chapters. Is my back hurting? A bit. Yeah. French is hard. I prefer the sound of English, but it's personal taste. What is your first language? Aren't you legally required to co-stream in French? Oui. You are French. Okay. Okay. Yeah, my back, it wasn't that it was warning me during co-streaming, it's that I hurt it during co-streaming from, like, pulling things out of the closet. It's not terrible, but, like, I'm not ending stream yet. But I might wrap up the reading portion so that we are able to do some straight up ASMR triggers still. Does that sound okay, you guys? We didn't read as much tonight. We only read 2 chapters. Don't anchor the spine. Proud frog you are. Oh. It's fine. Okay. Well, okay, but I wanna say, so we will be reading more Robin Hood on Thursday. But I'm thinking of reading A Christmas Carol on Sunday. And it may interrupt the Robin Hood. But because Robin Hood is made up more of, like, little vignette stories, I feel like that won't be too disruptive. What do you think? Yeah, and that way we get it out earlier. I get it up on the YouTube earlier, edited and everything. So I'm thinking Sunday, Christmas Carol. And if we can't finish it on Sunday, I'm not promising this. Possibly Monday bonus stream to keep reading Christmas Carol. And then we'll go back to Robin Hood. when we're done Christmas Carol. Oh my god, floral. Gasp. Okay, so I am going to end the YouTube stream. We'll keep going on Twitch. So, yeah. Anyone who has been watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. It really helps out, helps with the watch hours and everything. If you enjoyed it, if you want to, you know, thumbs up or sub or whatever, those things are all very much appreciated. But yeah, I will be back on this YouTube channel with more Robin Hood on Thursday night. Also, yeah, keep a watch out. I've had the Carmilla chapters going up pretty frequently. We've still got, I forget how many chapters there are in total, but anyways, yes, Carmilla chapters coming out. So yeah, okay,